Trump's delisting risk killed my two best ideas. And with all these tariff news and all the threatening of more tariffs and more delisting, it hurt my gains overall, but I still was able to come out on top. And I'm actually going back on what I thought about Trump's tariffs and Trump's delisting risk. We're going to talk about that coming soon. If you're not realizing what's happened in the market is just a casino right now at this point because Trump is introducing all these tariffs, it's going back on tariffs. He's doing a lot of different things that he's really not sure of. So the stock market is going to be acting like a casino from now on. I had to get rid of 2 of my holdings because of this. I called my broker wanting to know what would happen if the delisting actually came true, because what Trump says usually comes true, and what he's been talking about, he has been doing. So I had to be more cautious during this times, not compared to Biden. When Biden was saying all the delisting risk in 2021, 2022, I never believed it. He was kind of softballing it. He was saying it was because of accounting rules and blah, blah, blah. I never believed it. When Trump talks, I believe it more because whatever he's been saying, he has literally been doing. So when it came to delisting, I was afraid, I can't lie. I kind of panic sold out of my 2 positions that I actually enjoy and I actually like. This was QFN, that's what I call the company, and it was XYF. I had an 80% gain on these holdings, so I wasn't upset. So when I called my broker about Baba, about Tencent, about JD.com, my main holdings that I own, he was pretty much telling me that everything was going to be all right when it comes to those companies because you can easily transfer those over to the Hong Kong market. But when it comes to these 2 companies, he was more iffy. He wasn't as certain. So that got me in panic mode because I'm like, damn, what happens if he delisted these 2 companies? Because he wasn't as sure as the other 3 companies that I own. So like, what would happen to it? Would it go in some like black box and I won't be able to recover it? Because remember when the Russian stocks got delisted and they got taken over? No, a lot of people actually lost money on Russian stocks that they own because it's in some arbitrary like zone where you can't trade and you can't get your money. So I was kind of afraid of that. And that was already in my mind on top of him being very uncertain what I would be able to do with my shares. So that's when I panic sold out of those 2 positions because I just wasn't sure. I could have waited a little bit longer to see what would happen and call another broker or call another agent, whatever. But I just sold my shares. I had an 80% gain already. I don't want to lose $50,000, $60,000. Like that's insane to lose just because of what Trump is saying and what he's been acting on. I was in that mind space of like, damn, I'm not losing this money just in case. Be solid. So now as Trump keeps escalating everything, another 245% tariffs that he just announced, China is not backing down on the tariffs and how they're stopping postal and how they're stopping Boeing shipments. So both of these nations are kind of going back and forth with this tariff stuff. This is causing more people to be kind of not knowing what's going to happen and how do I invest in the future if we don't know where these tariffs are going to land, because they're always talking about negotiation and just stopping shipments. So just no one knows what's happening in the market. So pretty much that was my reason for selling. Is that a good thing? Did I panic? What do you think? Was that actually kind of rational? Tell me what you think down in the comments. So after all of that, I came to the conclusion that I should get back into these stocks, man. Even though I sold QFN and XYF, I'm getting back into 2 different positions kind of in the same field. I got back into XYF around $12. Then I got back into YRD and I sold that recently, kind of like probably 4 or 5 months ago. And I kind of recently got back into it as it's been falling. These companies are just lending companies in China. They're trading at such a low PE with the continued growth, the continued stimulus as the economy picks up in China. It grew 5% just this month. So stuff is picking up in China, no matter how you kind of see the tariffs, trading at a 2BE. So in 2 years, I'm going to get all my money back from the net income the business is generating. They're buying back shares. They're giving us a dividend. I'm willing to go back into these 2 companies, taking my money off the table because I had so much money. I had an 80% gain. And now I'm putting money into the business that I'm willing to lose. So if I'm willing to lose 10 or 15,000, that is okay. I'm not willing to lose all that much money that I put into these businesses before, because that just had me kind of sleeping at night, not knowing what's going to happen with Trump and the tariffs and China retaliation. That was just too much for me. So it made sense for me to take my money off the table. And that's what I should have did. Instead of selling everything, I should have just took up the percentage that I'm willing to like lose in case of delisting. In case something happens with the shares that I was willing to lose, I would be okay with that if I just had that huge gain already. But my top 3 holdings, I am sure that I can switch over to the Hong Kong market. My broker can convert that. Those 3 holdings, my main holdings, I did not sell at all, but just these 2 ones that they were kind of more iffy because they're more mid to small cap stocks that kind of had this issue of, can I transfer over? So now that that's clear, my mind kind of like settled after a week of all these tariff news. I'm more in the field of Trump is not going to really delist it. Like, it can happen, like it's a 15-20% risk, but I'm okay with taking that risk. And I believe that Trump wants to deal with China eventually, and they're not going to go to that conclusion of fully delisting, because if they fully delist, it won't come back. It's going to hurt Wall Street, Alibaba, and more Chinese companies kind of coming into the New York Stock Exchange and the USA market, because that's a big profit for Wall Street, like IPOs, and when IPOs are hot and getting into the New York Stock Exchange market. So that's a big moneymaker for Wall Street. So is Trump going to go against Wall Street when he does these delisting rules? Because they're never going to go back, and that's a big sphere of money for Wall Street. Let's see what happens with the whole delisting, the whole China retaliation and tariffs. Guys, what do you think about this video? Like it and subscribe to my channel.